morning, everybody. Welcome to another fabulous episode of How Many Tabs Are Open on Mr. Johnson's Computer. Today is a 5-tab day. Let's go ahead and look at our two assignments for today. We have a discussion and then we have a Google assignment. So if we go ahead and open up the discussion to begin with. Remember, just use the sentence stems to receive credit. So 4 sentence stems gets you full credit. If you use less than the 4 sentence stems, you aren't getting the full credit. That is part of the assignment. It's use the stems below to discuss what you're thinking. All right, so we're going to take a look at this table. It's a table with X and Y values, is what they've labeled. And they're going to say, what do you notice? What do you wonder? So really, let's find a pattern. All right, what we should be doing for this one is let's find our pattern. Remember, all tables have patterns. So let's go ahead and take a look at patterns. I'm going to take the graph that we are looking at over here and see if I can copy it. If not, I'll just make it on the OneNote. Okay. So, paste. Does it work? Does not let me work. All right, let's just make it. So, couple things to remember. First off, your two columns, you have X and you have Y. Remember that X is your input, Y is your output. Okay, so we have 1 and then 1 and 5/10. We have 3 and then 3 and 5/10. And then we have 5. We have 5 and 5/10. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to try and find the rule. All right, and so our two rules that we can have in 5th grade are additive and multiplicative. Remember, multiplicative is like the coolest 5-syllable word you probably have learned in school. So if you want to impress someone with a 5-syllable word, multiplicative. It just means that it's a multiplying pattern. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at this and we're going to try and figure out, how does 1 turn into 1 and 5/10? How does 3 turn into 3 and 5/10? How does 5 turn into 5 and 5/10? So what we're going to do is we're going to make an additive rule and a multiplicative rule and find out which one checks out for all 3 pieces of information. All right, so let's say that I want to turn 1 into 1 and 5/10. If I was going to turn 1 into 1 and 5/10, what would I add to turn 1 into 1 and 5/10? Well, if I have 1 and I want to turn it into 1 and 5/10, then I can add 0 and 5/10, and that gives me 1 and 5/10. So it looks like I can add 5/10 to get 1 and 5/10. All right, if I was going to multiply to turn 1 into 1 and 5/10, what could I do? Remember, multiplying would just be 1 times 1 and 5/10. One decimal place, so 1 decimal place. So 1 times 1 and 5/10 is 1 and 5/10. So our rule could either be add 5/10 to our x, so x plus 5/10, or multiply 5/10 times 1 and 5/10. So let's find out if the other ones work. All right, so our rule we found out to turn into 1 and 5/10 was either add 5/10 or multiply times 1 and 5/10. So let's take 3. Next, we're going to take 3. So here's 3. So if we add 5/10 to 3, we get 3 and 5/10. So it looks like the adding rule works for 2 columns so far. Let's see if multiplying times 1 and 5/10 will work with 3. So 1 and 5/10 times 3. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 1 is 4. 1 decimal place. Okay. So is 3 times 1 and 5/10 going to check out? It does not check out. All right. So far, we have 2 columns that are 2 rows that work with plus 5/10, and we only have 1 row that worked with times 1 and 5/10. So let's check our work one more time with 5. So if we took 5 and we added 5/10, we would get 5 and 5/10. If we took 5 and we multiplied it times 1 and 5/10, we would get something completely different. We get 7 and 5/10. So was this column right here Was it a plus 5/10 or was it a times 1 and 5/10? Yeah, we had to add 5/10 and it worked out. On this time, we added 5/10 and it worked out. This added 5/10 and it worked out. So with all three columns, adding is our rule. So our rule for fifth grade is x plus 5/10, or you could have said 0 and 5/10 equals y. Okay, so this is your fifth grade rule. Y is by itself. Your output is alone. Okay. So Y is kind of like the introvert number. It hangs out by itself. All right. X always has a friend. All right. And what I mean by that is it's always going to be times X or X plus something. So X will be given something on this side. Y is going to be by itself. So you could have also wrote Y equals X plus 5/10. That is correct as well. As you can see, y is still by itself on one side of the equal sign, and x has a friend. X is hanging out with 5/10. All right, so if we're going back to our notice and wonder, I noticed that we're looking at a table with x and y values. You could have got that from that right there, table with x and y values. They are the same. The x and y are the same because they follow a pattern. They are different because we start with a different X and end with a different Y. They are different. I wonder. Let's go ahead and I'm actually going to change this I wonder to the rule is. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to write our rule. So on that I wonder part, I want you to write the rule. Is it additive or multiplicative? So what I'm going to write over here is is my rule additive or multiplicative? And that'll be fun to say. See, make it a stem. My rule is dot. And then you just pick one. Additive or multiplicative. All right, even. Choose one. That's not how you write choose. That's chose. Okay, so that is complete now. I'm gonna move my head to save it though. Big head. There we go. All right. So for your last stem, you're going to write my rule is additive or multiplicative. In this one, we found out that it's an additive rule because we had to add to change our x to our y in all three rows. All right. So there's your sentence themselves. Remember, I noticed this is a table with x and y values. They are the same rule in every row. They are different because the x values are different from the y values. And my rule is additive because I added 5/10 to get my y value. All right. So this is the first of two assignments in math. So after you finish this one, go ahead and click on the Google assignment. I'll see you there. I hope you have a great day. Ask your teachers if you need help, and like and subscribe if you feel like it. I still can't say subscribe to save my life, so that's fun. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.